Welcome, Crypt fans, to the Cryptique Podcast. My name's Kenny, and I'm here with my good friend Godden and special guest host Iron Sabbath. Together, we're here to watch and review every horrific, often hilarious episode of the legendary HBO anthology series, Tales from the Crypt. And like I said, we're here today with a special guest of honor, a special listener out there. This is a heavy hitter of a commenter, Iron Sabbath. Welcome. How are you?
Thank you. Yeah, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me, guys. You're really making me feel special with that heavy hitter thing.
You are a heavy hitter. You comment on just about, if not all, most of our podcasts. You're usually one of the first commenters, one of the first viewers. So thank you so much, by the way, for just making us feel loved on this end of it. So the fact that we can, reach out and have an extended invitation to you to come and be part of this means a lot to us too. So thank you very much for just being out there and being supportive of us and the community that we're building out here.
Oh, absolutely. Anytime I get to nerd out over this show, I'm taking it. So
excellent. Godden, we love you too. How you doing?
Oh yeah, I'm also a guest star.
No, Godden, you're so much more than a guest star. You're the co-host.
He's the star.
I couldn't do this without you, Godden.
Co-host.
All right, so today, let's dive into Season 4, Episode 6, What's Cookin'? This aired on July 22nd, 1992, and it comes to us from The Haunt of Fear. Now, I do have one little note that I have on this air date. I thought this was interesting. So the previous episode aired on June 11th. This episode, the 22nd. And then the next episode, The New Arrival, is going to air on the 25th. Now, if you do the math, every 7 days, it should go from the 11th to the 18th to the 25th. So I wonder, did this episode actually air on the 22nd or the 18th? Like, I wonder, was there like a holiday in there that we don't know about? Anyway, I just thought I would bring that to our attention. We'll see if anything comes out of it, but I just thought it was weird that they're not 7 days apart. So, like I said, we have Iron Sabbath joining us from the comment community, who's coming to join us to be actually part of this episode. And whenever we have a new guest on, we always like to ask their origin story. So, Iron, if you would like to share with us either your introduction to horror or Tales from the Crypt or both. At this point, Iron, the stage is yours. Let us know your origin story.
Awesome. Okay, so it's pretty much standard with everyone else. When I was younger, I had nightmares about Freddy Krueger, Chucky, all those things. And then as I grew older, kind of grew out of it. But there was one problem with these, and I'm a notorious. I can't pay attention to anything. I have a terrible attention span. One day, my grandma showed me this movie right here. I don't know if you can see that.
I see it. That's Creepshow right there.
Yeah. And then Creepshow 2, the sequel. These movies, they started my love of HorrorAnthology. It was just like, you had a bunch of stories and you could digest them easier. It was all short stories, and I love that medium. I think horror suits itself very well to short stories. And through that, Creepshow itself was you could say it was a tribute to everything EC Comics, which Tales from the Crypt is based on. Stephen King and George Romero, they were big fans of the comics back when they were growing up. So it was like a love letter of sorts. And so through that, I discovered Tales from the Crypt. Now, my grandma was big into, and it's funny because my grandma was, Swedish lady, but she loved these kind of things. Like, she loved horror anthologies, like horror movies, all that stuff. So she actually got me into Creepshow. And then through that, I discovered Tales from the Crypt, and I was like, "Whoa, this is kind of like," when I was really young, so I didn't really comprehend how cool it was. But I remember just being in awe by it and just being like, "Wow, this is intense! Like, I've never seen TV like this before." And I distinctly still remember some episodes scared the absolute shit out of me when I was young. So that's fun. But yeah, I love the show. I've loved it for a long time. And through that, I actually got into a lot of the old comics, because back in the 50s, these things were intense. Like, they were doing things no comic creators were doing at the time. And I have a few right here. Like, I have the Dark Horse collection. So here's Shock Suspense Stories. And if you look at that cover, that's
wow.
actually Carrie and Death right there. That's the Carrie and Death cover. So that's Shock Suspense Stories. And Shock Suspense Stories was more of like there was crime involved, but there was also a lot of like social commentary. Like, there's a lot of stories that, and this was back in the 50s. This stuff was heavy hitting. Like, this was like racism, all the things people didn't want to talk about. And that's what that touched on a lot. Then you have The Haunt of Fear, which is one of their horror lines. And funny enough, the person who does the forward for this is Robert Englund. I don't know if you know that guy. But
Freddy Krueger himself, yeah.
You got The Vault of Horror, which this one has R.L. Stine.
Oh wow!
Doing the forward for that one.
Oh, that's so cool.
It's amazing. It's amazing how many of these people we all know and love from the horror genre grew up with these, right? And then, of course, you know where this is going. We got Tales from the Crypt right there.
Yeah.
With a forward by some guy named John Carpenter. I don't know who that guy is either.
Yeah. Maybe he'll amount to something one of these days.
But yeah, the comics are great. In fact, these things caused a riot back in the 50s. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but this actually is the reason the Comics Code got created, is because parents were like, I can't believe my kid is reading this. And there was a whole trial that they had. It was like a huge thing. They went to the Senate, and then there was this whole thing called the Seduction of the Innocent, where basically they outlawed these comics. You couldn't say zombie, you couldn't say undead, you couldn't say horror.
Oh.
It was a big deal. And now it's, and then it's always like some new boogeyman that the parents blame. That, that's my story. And I love this show, and I love everything to do with anthology, and I'm excited to be here. So thank you for having me.
Thanks for that. Yeah, you're welcome, and thank you. Now, Creep Show, when was that made, the original Creep Show? Was that in the 90s or was that in the 80s? 82. So almost 10 years before Tales from the Crypt season 1. I think season 1 started in 89. Is that right?
89, yes.
Yeah. So yeah, that's, way at the other end of the decade. That's amazing that it predated it that much. And a lot of people would see Tales from the Crypt as being one of the first anthologies, and then kind of Creep Show being and also kind of a thing. But yeah, Creep Show was well before. That's interesting. I love the Creep Shows, by the way. Do you have a favorite anthology from the Creep Show series? The first and second movies?
You mean a segment?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I have a favorite. So Creep Show 2, when the last one, the hitchhiker, thanks for the ride, lady.
Thanks for the ride, lady. I love that because the whole time I'm thinking, well, actually, let's go ahead and explain the episode briefly for people who haven't watched it, maybe.
Yeah, so there's this lady, and she's just Tales from the Crypt fashion, complete scumbag. Like, she's cheating on her husband, just a terrible person. So she gets in her car, she's driving along the road, and there's this hitchhiker there, and he's got the Dover sign. That's what I remember. He's going to Dover. If you don't know where Dover is, it's in Delaware. But she runs him over. And she's like, she doesn't really give a crap that she ran him over. She just keeps driving. Well, later on, he comes back, and he's on her windshield, and he's, hey, lady, thanks for the ride. Thanks for the ride. And he's just like a complete zombie now, and he's just a complete mess, and she's screaming her head off, and she's trying to get rid of him, and she keeps like running him over again and just trying to kill him again, and he keeps coming back like a cockroach, and I love it.
I love it too. Good. That's a great one. I love how the zombie character is the good guy, the guy that you're relating to. Like this woman just keeps running him over, and he just wants a ride. I like that one a lot too. My favorite also comes from the Creep Show too. It's I like Chief Woodenhead. I like that episode a lot.
A lot of people don't like that one. That's actually the one I see people like the least.
Oh, interesting.
Let me tell you something. The Raft scared the crap out of me.
The Raft is a good episode too. Chief Woodenhead is the one where there's the like a wooden sculpture of like an Indian chief, and I think like some shop owners own him, and these kids go in there to rob the place. They end up killing the owners. Chief Woodenhead comes back to take them out. I think it's the most slasher-esque of the episodes. That might be why I like it so much. And the raft is great too. The raft is a lot of fun as well.
What's your favorite from the first one? Do you remember the first one?
The last one was good. Oh no, I like the Jody Verrill one with Stephen King himself in it.
Meteor shit.
Yeah, that's a good episode. Oh, what did he say? What was his catchphrase in that? Oh, Jody, what did you do? Or something like that.
Yeah, you done it now, or something like that. Yeah. I love that one too. That's Stephen King, actually. Which
yeah,
is
that
fun.
is Stephen King. Yeah. That's a good episode. That was
my favorite from that one is the Leslie Nielsen one, Something to Tide You Over.
Something to Tide You Over. Yeah, that's a good one too. That's a good one. And it's not very funny or slapstick. And I'm surprised to see Leslie Nielsen play a character that straight laced. So
it's totally against what he normally does, which is great.
But
That's why it's so fun.
But his slapstick was totally against what he typically did. He was a very dramatic actor in his prime, or in his younger days, I should say. Many would say his prime was his slapstick.
Oh yeah, a lot of people would say his prime is like The Naked Gun and all those movies.
Yeah, those are great too. I love The Naked Guns. All right, well, thank you so much for sharing your origin story. I always like getting meeting people in that way. Everybody has such a unique origin. There's just so much horror out there that really there's such a variety of ways you can get into it. Whether it's like, for me, it's the slashers, 100% the slashers, the Michael Myers, the Jason Voorhees, the Texas Chainsaw Massacres, right? All of those guys. So I really watched those a lot when I was younger, and just growing up, I was really big into the slashers. You went right to the horror anthologies. This really is your bread and butter right here. This Tales from the Crypt world is right up your alley. And Godden does his the Chucky series, right? What a fun introduction to horror that way, I think.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like you said, right? This was one of the first anthology shows. There was one before it, and it's Tales from the Dark Side. And that also actually involves Stephen King and George Romero. So, they were all over the place when it came to this. They were kind of the pioneers, I would say, of like the anthology genre. Even though back in the 70s, there was a company called Amicus. Are you familiar with them?
I think I've heard of Amicus.
Yeah, Amicus put out a bunch of anthologies back in the 70s. And actually, two of the ones they put out were called Tales from the Crypt and The Vault of Horror.
Yes, now I know. That's where I know their names. That's where I know them, is they did both of those, and I have those as well.
Yeah, so they were kind of like the first ones that actually brought EC comics to the forefront.
And those were back in the 70s.
Yep.
Yeah, that was even wow. Yeah, what? Come to think of it, it did take quite a long time for Tales from the Crypt to become a staple on television, didn't it?
Yeah, I would say that. From what I hear, the first season was, kind of like an experimental thing that they weren't sure where it was going to go. And then season 2, they were kind of like, okay, well, we're going to pick it up now because it was a hit at first. And season 3 is where they really, that was supposed to be the last season, actually, is what I hear. And they were going to end it on a bang with Yellow. That was their huge thing.
Yeah.
But the show was so popular, they had to renew it. And I'm glad they did, because let me tell you, season 4 and 5, those are my favorites.
Yeah.
By far.
Yeah, but just the sheer fact it took to the late 80s to get Tales from the Crypt on a syndicated television show like that. Like, you would think that it could have happened in the 70s, or even the mid-60s, maybe too early, but the 70s I think were prime for it. The 80s would have, but stick to the end of the 80s.
Well, the thing is, like, Tales from the Dark Side is very tame compared to Tales from the Crypt. The reason why is because it was on cable TV. What people have to remember about Tales from the Crypt is it was on HBO. This was not like your syndicated usual TV. This was HBO. You could do whatever you wanted on HBO. So they were showing stuff that you could not show on cable. And when how I was introduced to the show is through the reruns on Fox. And on Fox, they were heavily censored. Like, you weren't seeing half the stuff that you normally see in the episode because they couldn't show it. It was on cable.
Yeah, you know what? I don't know. I think I did watch the HBO airings of it because I couldn't watch them at home. We didn't have HBO. A friend of mine his parents had HBO, and we would go to their place and watch it there. So yeah, I must have been watching the HBO episodes.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend anyone watch Fox.
All right. Well, that's enough of that, everybody. Let's dive into the episode, shall we? This is, like I said, once again, for those of you tuning in late, season 4, episode 6. What's Cookin'? As far as we know, July 22nd, 1992, from the Haunt of Fear. Do we get any other information on whether or not that date is accurate? I saw you typing away when I had mentioned that date in the first place.
Yeah, I just saw it was a leap year, so maybe there was some adjustments as to it coming out on a Friday.
Okay.
Or not Friday, but whichever day they release it.
Okay, yeah, it's just interesting that it's not 7 days apart in that part. Okay, before we actually dive in and start talking about this episode, we're not experts. We're just a group of people who are watching the show and coming on here to have a place to talk about it. Iron, judging from your library and what you said so far, you seem to be a little bit more of an expert than we are. So we're glad to have you here. Maybe you can set us straight on some.
It's okay. Like, I don't judge anybody. You're free to take in however you want. I nerd out a bit over this show, so I go like deep in there. But I mean, if you're just enjoying it to watch it, it's fine.
Yeah,
like, I'm not going to judge you.
That's exactly what we're here for, and that's exactly what any sort of media. Even if you are an expert in something, even if you're a Shakespearean playwright and you enjoy Shakespeare, that doesn't make you any more important of a fan than somebody who just enjoys watching plays. Anyway, maybe that was a bit highbrow of an analogy, but let's get the plot out of the way. And let me start by reading the description on the back of the DVD box set, shall we? I always leave the box set way over there. Hold on, I'll be right back.
It's part of the fun when he leaves it like that.
It's part of the fun. Where did Kenny go?
Yeah.
All right.
Kenny,
so the back of the DVD box set, inked in human blood on human flesh, states, "Business is great at the All Squid Diner now that meat is on the menu. One question, where's the meat come from?"
Oh.
That wasn't that bad.
Meatloaf?
It comes from meatloaf. Wasn't that bad. Okay, here's a little something that I, quote unquote, cooked up for you. Fred and Nora are struggling restaurateurs who are on the verge of bankruptcy after their squid-focused menu fails to gain popularity. Their luck begins to turn, however, when their janitor, Gaston, introduces a new steak recipe so irresistibly delicious that they struggle to keep up with demand. Distracted by all their sudden success, Fred and Nora never stop to consider just what is it about this mysterious meat that has people dying to try it. Ooh, these are sometimes fun to come up with.
Might be your magnum opus. Yeah.
Oh!
I want to hear Godden's magnum opus. He's got to do his one line one, right?
That's right. Now it's Godden's turn. So Godden thinks that the back of the DVD box set is too long. So Godden's challenge is to come up with something that's shorter than the back of the DVD box set.
How many words is it in the back of that one? Was it like...
Uh-oh, that tells me that Godden might have one over.
Yeah.
What's cooking? Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 21 words. Godden, you got that's 21 fine. Words.
The minute it went over 10, I always try to be under 10. So the minute it was over 10, I was like, okay, I'm comfortable. I'm good. Yeah, I actually like yours a lot, and it's funny because people probably don't realize, but I do see your summary, on our little notes, and this has a lot of commas. This is like the most commas I've seen, you have over a summary. But my little tidbit goes, so what's for dinner? Steak or meatloaf?
Yes, I like it.
I like it. What's for dinner? Steak or meatloaf? Yeah, because meatloaf is in this episode, and meatloaf is meatloaf in this episode, right?
Yeah.
Chumley is his name.
Mr. Chumley is his name. So that brings us to the Crypt Keeper intro, and he's twisting a corkscrew, and he says, "Next time I book a table for 8:00, Wolfgang, I expect to be seated at 8:00." And he pulls out an eyeball, and he says, "Oh!" And then when he pulls out the eyeball, the guy laying in front of him is like, "Oh!" And he goes, "Yes, a good wine, not a great wine, but locally grown, that's for sure. A pleasant enough bouquet almost reminds me of a good scream sherry. Now, what's a scream sherry? What is he getting at? Is cream sherry a thing?
Oh, I'm not sure. I mean, I know he's probably talking about. I mean, he's obviously talking about wine, but I don't know what he's like referring to with that.
Well, sherry's like a sweet wine. Maybe that's what he meant. A good sweet sherry, a scream sherry. I don't know. Sometimes his puns are a little over my head. He says, I hope you brought your appetites, kiddies, because tonight's tasteless tidbit is something I'm sure you'll savor. It's a real Epigorean delight about a nice young couple who find the restaurant business a little too hard to swallow. I call this adventure in fine dining, What's Cookin'? What do we think about this Crypt Keeper intro? We'll start with you, Iron.
Oh, when you made the guy makes the noise, he's like, oh, that's hilarious. Like, you don't see that very often. The guy's just laying there and he's just going to town on him, and it's fun. I love it.
Yeah. Godden, what do you think?
I think you get to see a different side of the Crypt Keeper, because from all the intros I remember, he's usually like fun and goofy. But this one, he's like upset at the guy who could not seat him exactly 8 o'clock, so he's now torturing him because of it. Which I think was like, oh yeah, don't want to be on his bad side ever.
Yeah, I guess the Crypt Keeper is a little more sadistic, right? If you say 8 o'clock, damn it, he better be sitting down and reading the menu by 8 o'clock. Who do you think that was? Because remember, Joel Silver was one of the actors who played with alongside the Crypt Keeper in one of the episodes. I wonder if
second, wasn't it?
I forget the episode. I think it was in the second season, but it was oh gosh, what was he doing? He was torturing somebody, and I think Joel Silver was just happened to be the person he was torturing.
Yeah, I don't know who this is.
Yeah, it just could have been anybody, right? There's probably some lighting guy. Hey, you want to be in an episode? Yeah.
Just some guy they found in the crypt.
All right. Well, that brings us to the opening panel, and the opening panel we've got here. I'm actually going to come back to this. The opening panel is a chef who's raising a cleaver, getting ready to looks like impale it into somebody who's already all bloody, and then behind all of them is a waitress who's smiling, getting ready to take an order. And even behind that, you see the name. It looks like the name of the restaurant is called Chop House. What do we think about this panel? Again, we'll start with you, Iron.
Yeah, well, I think the guy up front looks a lot suspiciously like somebody in this episode. That's all I'll say is he looks kind of meaty. But yeah, it's kind of funny they put the Chop House when that's not even the name of the restaurant in the episode. But
yeah, Godden, what do you think?
This actually might have the most colors. Because I'm thinking about the previous ones that they usually have like 3 or 4, but this one has a lot with the pink, with the green, with the white, with the blue. Like, they actually put a lot into this one, and I like how in the background of the Chop House there's a silhouette. I didn't catch that at first, but they got their customers waiting clearly. So
oh yeah, it looks like they're eating. They're like chowing down on something. I think it's interesting that they have the actual chef who turns out to be the Fred character as being the one impaling somebody else, like he was the one who's committing these murders, and it paints a slightly different picture than what the actual episode is. Either that, or it kind of, I suppose, leads you into the finale, the twist at the end, which maybe is a little bit spoilery, but yeah, he's not the one who's hacking people down. So I thought that was an interesting move on their part. All right, well, the opening shot of this episode, they're cooking in a restaurant, and we've got Fred cooking up. No, is it Fred or it's? I think it's Norma, who's no, not Norma. Irma. Irma cooking cooking squid. Right, everybody's cooking squid while Fred is looking through like a how to cook squid cookbook, and he says, "I got it, squid on a stick." And that's when Irma comes over with the cleaver, like she's gonna nail him in the back of the head, and he goes, you do that, you're going to ruin a rare blade that they don't make anymore. So don't. And so she whams it down on the cutting board and basically consoles her. They're husband and wife, by the way. So she consoles them. And they're, I think, just coming to terms with the fact that they have this restaurant that focuses on squid that's not making any money. And about this point, this is where Gaston, their cleaning guy, comes across and says, "Hey, why don't you guys try it? Broaden your horizon. I've got this great barbecue recipe from my family if you want to try it." And basically they're at this point, Fred's really rude to him. He's like, "No, we don't need you. Thank you very much." And that's that.
You're just a drifter.
You're just a drifter, right?
Yeah.
What do you guys think of this intro? Again, we'll start with you, Iron.
Yeah, I think it's funny. If you notice when so Christopher Reeve obviously is playing Fred, and Christopher Reeve is great. Like, he's the Superman from the 1970s, right? He's the original Superman, the one a lot of people grew up with, and he's such a great actor. And it's nice to see him in this role because, unfortunately, like a couple years later, he'd have an unfortunate equestrian accident that paralyzed him for pretty much his whole life. Yeah. But I like when he's looking through the book about the squid recipe. By the way, who makes a recipe book for squid? Like, that is terrible. But one of the recipes is squid with grapefruit sauce. And I'm just like, that's the most disgusting thing that I've ever seen in my life. Like, first of all, squid, yuck. And who's eating it with grapefruit sauce? Like, that is just, ugh.
I happen to like squid.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah. Well,
now I like
a little chewy.
I like squid as a side or an appetizer. It should not be a whole meal. You cannot make a full restaurant out of just squid. Thank you very much.
Remember what Colonel Harlan Sanders said? A chicken restaurant? You must be crazy.
And Godden, what do you think of this intro?
I liked it. It was very upbeat when it starts out, a little goofy. And funny enough, I actually do like squid, like actually a main course. I grew up eating squid, so I wasn't put off the fact that, oh yeah, squid on a stick, I've done that before. Put on a barbecue grill, it's fine. I think I like squid.
What about with grapefruit sauce, though?
I haven't tried that, but I think I can see the execution for that. If they like spicy and they had the grapefruit sauce as like counter it. So I could see it, but I'd only try it once, but it wouldn't be my go-to, I'll just do a different kind of variation for it. But yeah, it was kind of fun that it was just all about squid, and he just had a bunch of squid just on the cutting board. And then yeah, like what Iron Sabbath said, he just has I don't know who would make a cookbook just for one like ingredient. I thought it was really odd, but I was like, hey man, there's an audience for everything, right? Like, clearly he found this. Someone is also a squid connoisseur, so there's no way.
Yeah, but, I wonder if that was a prop book or an actual book. Like, I wonder if you can find that.
Yeah, just order it online.
It's a real book. I want to say it's a real book. It has to be, right?
Maybe it is. Yeah, maybe they found it somewhere. I'm glad you mentioned how upbeat it was, Godden, because I forgot the music in this segment is very like a upbeat jazz kind of just like a carefree upbeat jazz like 1920s melody that's kind of playing in the background during this whole intro. And that's kind of a theme going throughout the entire episode. There's lots of like 1920s, almost like a big band style jazz kind of a soundtrack going on in this episode, which is interesting because the episode clearly takes place and it's like it's meant to be modern day, right? It's meant to be like in the 90s. I think it is anyway.
Yeah, I think the music kind of goes along with what you kind of expect with a fancy kind of restaurant. So,
and the restaurant does kind of look like a diner too. So the diners are kind of I think they're suggestive of that, maybe that era.
Yeah.
Well, this is where so basically right now we've got Fred and his wife Irma. They own the restaurant together. We've got Gaston, who's like they're a drifter who they hired to be like the janitor, and then in walks Officer Phil, and these are kind of all the big main characters in the episode. So Phil walks in. They offer him. I think he gets. I forget what he orders. Just coffee, and he goes, "No just thanks" coffee. On the squid McMuffin. He's had it he's had enough of the squid. I think he went there a few times to check the restaurant out. Maybe he grew to like these people. He likes their company. He likes hanging out, but he's not going to eat their food anymore. He's over it.
Yeah, he's definitely he's a regular among them for sure. Like, I think he just hangs out there because he likes them, like you were saying. But you said you didn't want the squid McMuffin. So would you say he would do anything for lunch, but he won't do that?
Probably.
Yeah.
What did I miss here? Is this a Meatloaf a song lyric?
Maybe.
I'll do anything for love, but I won't do that. Was that a Meatloaf song? Is that what I'm missing?
Yeah, but but I've changed it to lunch because he'll do anything for lunch, but he won't do that.
So you guys out there are laughing. You listening at home, you can laugh at my expense. It's okay. I don't know who Meatloaf is. I just heard the name. So after this whole ordeal, that night, Fred's staying behind to clean up. Irma's on her way home, and Irma goes across the street to visit what's his face, Gaston. And she offers him some squid and basically says, look, I'm really sorry that my husband was rude to you. And he goes, no, it's okay. And he actually comes on to her, which I didn't like this part. I would have preferred to side with Gaston more throughout this episode. That way the twist would have been that much more impactful. But this right away, this first impression of Gaston already, I didn't like the guy. He starts coming on to Irma. He says, what's a classy lady like you doing with a guy like that? Which I didn't like because I like our main characters. I like them both. And the fact that he was, putting a jab in at Fred's expense, I didn't like him that much for that. But he offers to walk her home, and she says, "Oh no, I'm fine." She opens up her purse to reveal a gun. She says, "I could take care of myself." So off she goes to go home, and he takes her squid and gives it to the guy behind him. And so he's not even willing to eat the food that she brings him. So I didn't like this. I guess it was fine. The everything was fine about it. I just didn't like the choice to set Gaston up to be like a bad character like this early on. What do you guys think? Iron, again, we'll start with you.
Oh, I think it's perfect because Gaston, he right away you realize like this guy is up to no good. You know what I mean? Like he's a drifter for a reason, right? Like he's definitely got himself into this spot because like he's just a piece of crap. And the way like when he tells Irma, he's like, "Well, you should come live with me." Where's she gonna live? In a cardboard box? Like, the guy's got nowhere to live. He lives on the street, right? Like, I don't know. He thinks he's above everyone else, even though clearly, he's a drifter. I think he was in trouble, which, obviously he's looking for a job. They brought him in as kind of like a, cheap labor because obviously they're not doing much business anyway, right? So he probably doesn't get paid much.
Right.
But yeah, I also found it like, that's a very sketchy area that Irma's walking in, even with a gun. Like, I wouldn't want to be walking in that area by myself.
Mm-hmm. Godden, what do you think about this scene?
Well, I'm a little biased because they showed a firearm, so I like the scene a little bit more just for that reason. When she flashed, I was like, "Oh, look at that! It's a little, Makarov."
Packing heat.
What was that, Godden? What kind of gun was that?
It's a Makarov. It's a Russian pistol.
Oh, okay. Godden's our local gun enthusiast.
Yeah, but it was kind of her though to like offer a plate full of squid that no one's eating to Gaston to apologize for her husband. But yeah, I do agree, Kenny. It was a little off-putting how quick he was just to make a move, especially right across the restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
While the guy's like cleaning the knives. It's like, okay, like why even make that risk?
Yeah, there was a scene later on where Gaston actually goes to their apartment to go talk to Irma. That could have been where the things start to turn, and he could have started to be a little more sleazy like that. That would have been, I think, a better natural place to see that. But to see it so soon, it's I don't know. It's such a small quibble. I just happened to notice it, and it kind of put me off right in the beginning. Is all. That brings us back to the restaurant where with Fred, who's chopping up some carrots for the next day. And by the way, before we go into the restaurant, the camera kind of lingers on the outside, and it says Fred and Irma's on the restaurant marquee. But of course, some of the letters are blacked out, so all you see are the letters ENEMAS, enemas.
Yeah, I had that in my notes too. That's great.
Oh man, yeah, I got a good laugh out of that. Enemas. So while he's in there chopping up for the next day, in comes. This is where we get the landlord, who is Mr. Chumley, who is played by Meatloaf, and. So Mr. Chumley comes in and basically they go back and forth. Look, you owed me money. you were supposed to have the money to me yesterday, and if you don't have the money for me now, then basically you're evicted tomorrow. This upsets Fred, but not like, it upsets Fred, but only so much as like, yeah, you're right, I don't have the money, what can I do? It's not until Mr. Chumley leans over and says, you're a lousy cook. And that's what sets Fred over. He gets up, he goes, you fat son of a bitch, or whatever. I forget exactly what he calls him, but he comes at him with a knife in his hand. And I think this was a legit accident. He's upset. He's coming at him, and I think he accidentally cuts Mr. Chumley on the back of the hand, and he gets upset. Like Fred gets like worried, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that. I'm sorry. So Mr. Chumley goes running off, and Fred goes running after him to apologize. But all the while, Gaston is still across the street. So Gaston sees this kind of whole kerfuffle all kind of happen. So we'll start with you, Iron. What do you think of this part of the scene here?
Oh, I love it. And when Meatloaf walks in and he's dressed to the gills, like the guy, he's got like this white top hat on. He's got, his white outfit. And he comes, and then you said that he comes up to Fred and the lines he's saying, I actually wrote down exactly what he says. And what day is today? Is today yesterday? No, today is today. And you know how I know that today is today? Because if today were yesterday, I'd have a check in my hands. I love how he just like straight up just says that. And then yeah, you're right. Like that's nothing to Fred. He's like, yeah, whatever. But the minute he calls him like a lousy cook, yeah, you fat son of a bitch, he just loses his mind.
Yeah, I like that line that you had written down. That I noticed that too. It was very alliterative and very semantic, the way it kind of went back and forth. And I remember thinking when he said that, like, that's actually not. I think that's decent acting to be able to seem like you're meandering off and saying something that's just so crazy, but is actually like an actual line that you're delivering. So I was actually mildly impressed by that. So I'm glad that you wrote that down. Godden, what do you think about this scene?
Yeah, I was not expecting this kind of acting from Meatloaf, and I wasn't expecting the accent at all. But I think that's what tied me into like where it could be. I think it might be like somewhere in like Louisiana or something, because he had a very like southern-ish accent, the way he was like portrayed. And I was like, oh well, that makes sense. That's probably where they got all the squid, right? Free fishing. They can't afford steak. They can't afford any kind of meat because it costs too much. So I was like, oh, it has to be there because. I don't know. Meatloaf delivered pretty well, and I thoroughly enjoyed their back and forth and what Iron had mentioned with his lines, because so far the dialogue's been great with this episode. The pacing's great, so I'm all for Meatloaf. I want more Mr. Chumley for sure.
But would you say that after he gets accidentally stabbed, that he takes off out of the restaurant like a bat out of hell?
As a matter of fact, that's exactly what I would say, Iron. Are these all Meatloaf song lyrics or song titles?
Maybe.
Meatloaf related for sure.
So, by the way, I'm glad you mentioned the way he was dressed. He was dressed very 1920s, like the way the music sounds in this episode. So I don't know if that was done on purpose or what, but yeah, he was definitely dressed like kind of like that of that era, of that early era.
I think he just dresses obnoxious all the time. That's his
thing, he's just an obnoxious dresser.
Oh, sure.
Back home, Irma and Fred are talking, and Fred basically recounts the whole Mr. Chumley ordeal and just them being worried about being evicted. And Fred actually asks Irma, how much money do you have left on your credit cards? Because what if we bought a bunch of pork? What if we focus on pork instead? So this to me sounds like a better idea, selling pork. Like a restaurant based on pork is still kind of a bit niche, but not so bad as just squid. So I don't know whether or not she agrees. I'm not sure, but basically he's worried that she's going to leave him because he's broke, and she basically reassures him, no, I'm not going to go that easy, and I'm sticking around. And she says, besides, you owe me a lot of money. So I think she's the financial powerhouse of this relationship. She's the one fronting all this money for this man's, overly ambitious dreams of this squid restaurant. So anyway, what did you think about this, Iron? We'll start with you again.
Yeah, I think you're right. There's no way Fred's good with money. Like, he thinks squid restaurant's a great idea, right? Can I just say, though, how refreshing it is in Tales from the Crypt to have a couple that's actually happy and supportive together? Because most of the time in this show, when you see a couple that are married, they hate each other, one, and two, they're probably trying to kill each other, because that's what this show always does. Like, you can't have a couple that's happy. So it's kind of like funny to see one that, is actually supportive and happy for each other. But yeah, when he says, we'll buy a whole ton of pork, like, I just lose it. Like, what is, like, that's the first idea you go to. And obviously she's like, you already owe me enough and you just want to keep spending money. Like, obviously Fred's terrible with money. Like, that's pretty much, we pretty much get that idea.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. That is true with the couples in Tales from the Crypt. Either they hate each other, they're trying to kill each other, or they are newlyweds and they're just having sex all the time very loudly.
Yeah. Lover, come hack to me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Godden, what do you think about this scene?
It's interesting to see like what the relationship is like, and like what Iron said, it is refreshing to see that they are supportive, not at each other's throats, and making one the victim. But it's weird. Like, he really wants to have a squid restaurant. Like, that's his dream, because she clearly put more than half of her efforts and finance into this. So I don't know why. I want to know what really, maybe a little 20-second flashback as to why he wanted a squid restaurant. Maybe it's his family's thing or whatever. Because now I'm intrigued. Like, why is he so committed and just wasting money on this? Like, he's so committed for no reason. But I don't know. I support him, I guess. I like squid. Whatever.
Yeah, the fact that it's squid is just so unusual. That's like, it's almost like it almost sells itself. You don't really need the backstory. Well, the next day, that brings us back to the restaurant. And basically, at this point, Fred and Irma are both ready to wrap things up, call it quits, and just be evicted. They even tell Gaston, don't bother cleaning up, Gaston. We're done here. We're being evicted. At that point, in walks Officer Phil, and he says, give me a coffee, but anything but squid. You got eggs? You got any eggs? And she goes, I don't know. I'll check. So she opens up the fridge. There's eggs, and then right above that are some steaks. And she goes, oh, I got steak. And he goes, that's it. Steak and eggs. I'll take that. So she starts frying up the oh no, when they see the steak, that's where Gaston takes credit for it. And he basically says, I didn't want to tell you guys because I didn't want you to tell me no, but I know a guy, and I got some deals on steaks. And so there you go. I noticed why this may be a nothing. Okay, but I've been known to go off on very strange tangents and try to find relationships or try to find certain reasons for things that don't belong. When Gaston was saying this, he's sitting at the table, and right in front of him is a very small vase with some flowers, right covering his chest. And I thought, why the hell is that there? Why are there clipped beautiful flowers right in front of him? And the only thing I can think of is those flowers are clipped. They're essentially dead. So we've got dead flowers covering up his heart. I wonder if this is the director saying that he has a dead heart. Is this too much? Am I reaching too far?
I can't say I thought about that, but yeah, that's kind of funny now that you mention it.
It would have been more suggestive if they were like dried up, wilted, dead, like really dead flowers, but they weren't. They were actually, nice, well put flowers. So I don't know. I just thought it was a striking looking scene or a striking looking shot to not mean something. So I was just grasping for straws. I don't know. So she's frying up the steak, and Officer Phil actually says, "Oh wow, that smells delicious. Makes the coffee taste better." So something about this steak recipe is really, really good. So at about this point, while the steaks are frying up, Dr. Phil, I knew I was going to do that. I knew I was going to say that at some point. Officer Phil mentions that Mr. Chumley is missing, and they found his car basically covered in his blood and his empty wallet. and they don't know where he is or what happened to him. They can't find his body. They just have all of this stuff going on. While he's saying this, by the way, he points over to Irma and says, "Oh, don't keep that on long, by the way. I like mine nice and rare." So I love how
I bet he does.
I love how all of the scenes while there's cooking and eating going on, it's always the steaks on the grill or the steaks on the plate that takes the center attention. So Officer Phil is talking about this crime scene, a missing body, there's blood, there's a missing wallet, like money's out of the wallet, all this really important detail. But oh, by the way, you know what? I like mine really rare, so don't leave that on the grill for too long. I love how it's constantly comes back to the steaks. I really like that about this scene. So while she's cooking up the steaks, two other ladies walk in, and I think they came in because it smelled so good. They walk in, and right away they say, one of them says, "Oh, whatever you got frying on that grill, it smells incredible. Throw another one on for me, will ya?" And then her friend says, "Oh yeah, make that too." So right away they're already, cooking up all of the steak. And this is about where Fred notices Gaston using the handkerchief that was being used by Mr. Chumley the night before. So this is where Fred brings Gaston into the back room and basically confronts him and says, "Look, where did you get that handkerchief?" And he says, "Oh, Mr. Chumley gave it to me." And he goes, "You're lying." And he goes, "What? I do you a favor and you call me a liar?" Which I found to be very manipulative, because whether or not you do somebody a favor does not indicate whether or not you're lying about something. Like those are two independent things. And to put those together like that, again, really, really pushes hard on the fact that this is a bad guy. And I really wish they would have tried better to play it straight with him, to make it more impactful when the twist happened at the end. I don't know. What did you think of everything going on so far? Again, we'll start with you, Iron.
Well, it's a shame about Mr. Chumley. I sure hope before he died he got to see paradise by the dashboard light.
Oh, I don't get
it. No, I love I just love this scene, when you're right, when he brings him in the back room and he's just like, "Oh, I do you a favor and this is how you treat me." Like he's just a manipulative bastard, and you just know like he's up to no good, and it's pretty clear what's going on, and with Chumley, like you found him in his car. Oh, I wonder what happened to Mr. Chumley, but we're about to find that out. But yeah, it's a fun scene.
Yeah, Godden, what do you think?
I love and hate this scene because this is like the little backstory is like when I used to watch Dexter, the first opening scene is eggs being cooked, and I just had to start eating eggs, like an egg dish, when I watched Dexter. And when you mentioned that the steak was a centerpiece and your eyes are drawn to it, mine was the eggs. Every time I see the eggs like on like any kind of like a stove or anything, I can't help it. I get hungry, so I was getting annoyed that they would do that to me. But it's great, like how what's it called? I almost said Judd, but Gaston was being all like, "Oh, look at me, I'm helping. Maybe she'll pay attention to me now because I have the vision. I'm putting something to the restaurant. I put steak and eggs. Look at your husband who's still going for squid." So I think that's why he's all dressed up with the flowers and everything, and a little nice little table. I think he was really trying to go after her still. But I actually didn't catch Officer Phil when he was blabbering about the case, and he's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, I want my food this way." I think it's just like, okay, like yeah, that was just a open and shut case. Like we don't know what happened to him, but whatever, he's definitely dead or something. We'll deal with it later. And yeah, I mean, it's just interesting how Gaston's like so confident to even flash the handkerchief around, like just like that. Like why would you flash the evidence? Like there's a cop there. There's also like the restaurant owner who is always talking to the landlord, so he's definitely up to something. And after he made that move on Irma, I didn't care what happened to him next. Like I just want the twist or anything to happen to him at that point. So it was interesting how it was all playing out because customers are coming in too. So it was interesting that it's getting more upbeat, getting more happy. Things are looking up for the couple. They're gonna get money now. They're gonna get paid.
Good for them.
Yeah, good for them.
Yeah, Godden, you brought up a couple of things that I want to touch on. Yeah, the fact that he brought the handkerchief out while the officer was there and while Fred was there to see him, he had to have been baiting him. Like, go ahead, say something. Yeah. Right there. I wonder if that was going on. In addition to that, you mentioned how he's dressed all nicely, like he's presenting in a way, and that made me think back to those flowers. Those flowers are what's in front, something that's pretty and superficial, and then behind the flowers, Gaston is something that is, so I suppose his true self. So he doesn't show his true self. He has those flowers in front. I wonder if that's what had to do with it. I don't know. I could be reaching for nothing again, but there you have it. So
you're really adamant about those flowers.
Yeah, sometimes my mind gets stuck on stuff like that, especially when I found that scene to be quite visually striking with him talking and those flowers in the foreground like that. I just thought, why is that there? Like the director could have moved that because it was clearly in the way. So the fact that they kept it there in this shot like that made me think, okay, it's there for a reason. So my mind started going through all these, why is it theirs? And I couldn't think of anything. But I think now maybe has to do with the fact that they're in front of him, like they're covering up who he really is. Something that's pretty is covering up something that is potentially very ugly. So what if they were Venus flytraps?
That'd be awesome. I'm all for that. Are you kidding me? More exotic stuff. Yeah, I'm about it.
Do you think the cop would have actually noticed it was Chumley's handkerchief, though? Because I don't think he knows Mr. Chumley that well and probably wouldn't know what his handkerchief looks like.
Yeah, he doesn't know him as well as Fred knows him, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fred and him were on a first name basis. I think Chumley was just some dude in town, right? Maybe he just knew of him but didn't know him very well. That would be my guess. So meanwhile, while the two of them are having this confrontation in the back, in the restaurant, Officer Phil's enjoying his meal. We have more customers just constantly walking through, asking for more stuff. I'll have what he's having. I'll have some of that. Hey, give me one of those too. So already this, whatever the steak recipe is, it's popping. Everybody wants it. And Irma actually says, hey, you got any more of those steaks in the back? So Gaston invites Fred, hey, hold the freezer door open for me. I'm going to get some more steaks. And that's where it's revealed Mr. Chumley is there. And he's just like hacking away at his backside to get some fillets off of Mr. Chumley. So I love, by the way, Fred's reaction.
You killed Mr. Chumley.
Yeah, so over the top. He's like, oh my God, you killed Mr. Chumley. And he goes, you make it sound so ugly. And this is one of those episodes that I watched a while ago. Godden, I think you and I watched this episode together a while ago. And I always thought that finding out it was human meat was the punchline, was the twist. So it surprised me when the reveal was this quick, watching it again. Because I remember it being, I remember that being the twist, was the fact that it was human. But it's really not, though. The fact that they're serving up human is not the twist. It's kind of part of the plot. The twist comes at the end, which I don't think is as impressive. But yeah, so it did surprise me when it gets revealed this quickly that they're eating Mr. Chumley. So just before Gaston leaves, he has a big old tray of Mr. Chumley, and he goes, it's a dog-eat-dog world out there. We're all just different flavors of Alpo.
That's the line of the episode right there. That's my favorite line.
Yeah. Yeah, what do you think of the scene here, Iron?
Well, I'm a little insulted. They said it was steak, but it's actually meatloaf, we find out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How appropriate that they would have this cannibalistic episode where they're eating people and then the character they pick is meatloaf.
It was the perfect casting choice for sure.
Yeah.
And there's actually, I've heard a fun story about this where apparently Meatloaf was hard to get into because they wanted him in, but his schedule apparently didn't really work out. So they had to really work to get him in, and he was there for not even the whole day, and they shot his scene and he was gone. But yeah, I found it it's great casting choice. I love it. And then the scene when they reveal it and he's just hanging there and just they bring up the cleaver and it just chops into him. I was like, oh, Kenny was gonna love this scene because there's his gore right there.
Great effects. Great effects. It looked wonderful. Godden, what do you think of the scene?
I was a little sad. Like I said, I really wanted more of Meatloaf's lines. I like his over the top Southern accent, his nice dressing. But when I first saw him in the freezer, I don't know why, but my mind wandered instantly to The Thing by John Carpenter, just the prosthetics and just how they were portrayed as a dead body. I don't know. I just thought of I don't know what scene specifically from the thing, but that's just where my mind wandered, and it was pretty well done. Like it did look like meatloaf, you know. It was pretty. I'm not sure if like that was the exact size, but yeah, it's pretty gruesome. You know, it's just like it's a dark thing to have noticed. Like you're just feeding people human meat, which is also interesting because human meat and pork are very like 1-to-1, right? That's what people say. Not that I've tried any, but it's just like that's just crazy. Like yeah, people are just drawn to that. You know, like I just keep eating, I guess. You know, just I wonder if they like mad cow disease or anything like similar like that. You know, because you're eating a human body. Like your brain would know that. Well, at some point, you know.
You're eating people, but I guess you're technically also eating meatloaf, right? So it's all good.
Yeah, I again, to touch back on the practical effects in this scene, amazing. They look great. Even when he chops into the backside of Meatloaf, just that whole angle and the way the cleaver goes in, the way he pulls the steak out, it looked really good. It looked great. It really did. And by the end, when Meatloaf is nothing but just basically a head in the top part of a torso, it looks great as well. So great practical effects in this. I loved it. I loved it. So now that we know it's meat, it's human meat, Fred walks out into the restaurant and just looks around. Everybody is eating this delicious steak. Again, that music comes back on, that 1920s big band style jazz music comes on, and he's just looking around grotesquely while everybody eats this delicious steak. There's even a scene where Irma is at the counter and she takes a bite and she goes, I don't know what that recipe is, but it's brilliant. So everybody loves this meat. And there is some of the gore, like in the freezer we were just talking about, but the real grotesqueness of this episode is just, like I said, those steaks taking front and center in all the scenes. So everybody's taking a bite and everybody's trying it and everybody's really savoring this meat. You constantly see the meat on the grill. There's even a few long shots where in the foreground the steaks are on the grill, and then in the background is everybody in the restaurant eating the steak. So yeah, there's a lot of human meat on display in this episode. What do you think of this this reveal shot once we know it's human meat in the restaurant, and in particular of Irma actually trying it and confessing how delicious it is? Iron, again, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I love it. They make an effort to like show you how much people are enjoying it, right? Like people are just chowing down and loving it. And yeah, when Irma tries it, it's like, oh my God, like that is brilliant. It's like, you know, that's the ultimate thing for Fred. Like, you know, he knows what she's eating, but you can't tell her, because if he tells her, then he's got to come clean about what happened. And hey, you're making money, so like, if people are liking it, you got to keep it flowing.
Yeah. Godden, what do you think?
You know, after that big reveal, I was kind of sad that Irma tried. I was like, well, she's going to like it. And there's no going back, you know? Like, it's going to be very tasty with that secret recipe just being human flesh. So.
Yeah, and speaking of making tons of money, that night they count up their register. Yeah, they made about $1,500. So, while they're cleaning up, Fred and Gaston go into the back freezer again to have one more. Basically, Fred wants to put an end to this. He says, "Look, you killed this guy. I'm going to call the police." And this is where again Gaston turns into that master manipulator. And this would have been a good spot for him to become that manipulator. So all the scenes before, if they had played him more straight and just more innocent seeming up front, this scene would have had more of an impact also. But at this point, Gaston tries to flip the script and he says, what are you going to tell the police? That I killed your landlord because you owed him money? They're not going to believe that. Besides, you're the one who attacked him last night with a knife. And after all, it was your wife who's cooked him. So Gaston basically, right, tells him, you can't call the police. They're not going to believe you. And we're going to do this. And I'm now your partner and I want 50-50. So that's basically the whole setup. And one last bit about this scene, I love when Irma comes in to celebrate. She wants to put the champagne on ice, and Fred's like, no, don't go in there. We'll go out. We'll go somewhere else and we'll have it. So Iron, what do you think about this scene?
Yeah, I love it, and it's you Gaston, he just plays such a bastard real well. And, it's funny that Godden called him Judd earlier because that is Judd
Yeah.
Nelson
Yeah.
from the Breakfast Club. So, again, like he plays, Bender from Breakfast Club. He's kind of like this rough around the edges character. And then he's just playing just as pure scumbag, right? Just being like manipulative and just. And yeah, I love the scene, like you said, when she goes, "Oh, I'm gonna put this on some ice." And he's like, "No, I mean, I'll do it. You go, you go and do. We'll go somewhere else." Yeah, I love it. And then, like you said, when they show Chumley and he's completely like picked clean, it's just a great effect. Like I love that too. And he's just hanging there, like neck to the side like this, and there's nothing left of him.
It looked great. It looked great, and the fact that it was on screen for so little time, like imagine how many hours they must have spent, right, making that mold and having it all set up like that, just to have it there for a little bit and then in the background and then not there at all. So yeah, very impressive work for so little time to be seen on screen. Godden, what do you think about this scene?
Yeah, I think it showed Gaston's true side, like his glutton for his greed, like he wanted 50-50. He wants his wife. He wants the credit. He just wants to be everything at this point. He just wants to be the businessman. So it's interesting to see that, like he's willing to commit more. He's like, I'll just keep supplying the meat. Like just keep cooking. It's not a big deal. Like honestly, what the issue is, I don't know. I'm gonna go to the cop and tell him and ruin everything. We have basically a good thing happening here, but it's just so immoral. So. It's like we mentioned earlier, maybe he just has a dead heart with that whole shot with the flowers, he just doesn't care. But then again, like looking back in the previous scenes, it looks like he's like a greaser, he hangs out with a bunch of like, it looks like they're all greasers in that block realistically, so maybe they're just that way. They just don't care. So.
Yeah. Right. Well, yeah. Well, that brings up a good question. I wonder how long he's been at this, and I wonder how many other people know, like, is it a family? Because he does keep saying it's a family recipe. Is it a family thing? Does he and his family partake in this cannibalism? He and his friends, maybe everybody across the street, are they in on it? Like it does kind of, I guess, beg that question. Like who else is in on this?
Yeah, it's never really touched on, but you can definitely tell that he's, he's on the street for a reason, right? He's definitely a shady character. He's probably been in trouble before, so what's he got to lose, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah.
So the next scene, we're back at the restaurant, and it's bustling. It's super busy. There's a line out the door. There, everybody's got something to do. We're cleaning tables. We're waiting tables. We're taking orders. We've got Fred at the grill actually cooking up. So this is busy. Everybody wants this steak, and the whole time they're cooking up, everybody's happy except for Fred, who is kind of miserable there at the grill. Because he knows the truth behind this. But he tries a bite, though. He actually tries a bite, tastes it, and he basically says, "Oh yeah, this is delicious. We're going to make a fortune," or something along those lines. So once he actually has a bite of it, yeah, we're going to be rich. Once he actually takes a bite, I think that's where he realizes, okay, maybe this isn't that bad. So at this point, he's starting to get on board. What did you guys think about him actually trying it for the first time? Iron, we'll start with you again.
Yeah, I thought it was perfect, because eventually you knew he was gonna get it was gonna get the better of him. He'd have to eventually try it, and I love the scene when he has up to his mouth and he's going like, he's struggling to try to put it in, and then he finally just eats it, and you see Gaston behind him and give him that like, do it, come on, do it, right?
Yeah,
it's just a great. And what I wanted to mention too is before this happens, right? Irma's sitting there and she goes, "Fred, do you know who that is? That's Dick Schwartzberg. He's the guy from the Daily Bugle, and the Daily Bugle is the name of the newspaper from Spider-Man." Which to me is kind of funny. They should have called it the Daily Planet because this is Christopher Reeve and he's Superman, right? So I feel like that was a huge missed opportunity to not call it the Daily Planet, and go get that little Superman love in there.
Oh, that's a great observation. I'm glad you noticed that. I wonder, does EC Comics and who does Spider-Man? Is that Marvel?
Marvel is, yeah. DC is Superman.
DC is Superman. Marvel is Spider-Man. And then what about EC? Who's EC owned by?
EC is actually, I believe, So EC was originally a man named Bill Gaines. He's the one that like owns and I believe his family still owns the rights to the name. I know they're making like newer books now that have the EC name, and I think they have an agreement with the Gaines family. So EC is actually still owned by the William N. Gaines estate, as far as I know.
Oh, okay.
And they actually make the Mad magazine too. So Mad was like the thing that actually took off after the whole controversy with the Senate and everything like that.
Oh, because I was just wondering if it was like if it was a rights thing to not be able to say the Daily Planet. But I mean, if it's not in the same umbrella, they probably could have said anything.
Yeah, I just think it would have been a nice little nod because you know Christopher Reeve's the original Superman, and it would have been cool to call it the Daily Planet. Just a nice little tidbit in there.
Absolutely, yeah. That's a really good observation. I didn't pick up on that. Godden, what do you think about his first bite of human?
It was interesting. I was surprised he was like pressured to. I mean, I guess he wasn't pressured. You know, he was curious, but then his moral compass was fighting him. But when you guys were talking about the whole rights and stuff, I was doing a little investigation. So it looks like Marvel actually reprinted some classic EC stories in the mid 80s. So maybe that's when they had like some sort of partnership where they're allowed to say Daily Bugle instead of Daily Planet because they had nothing with DC at the time. So that's about the only like thinking to run on. But yeah, it is interesting that Fred just kind of gave in. Like, you know, everyone's in on it. Like, why not?
Right. Why do I have to miss all the fun?
Why is it so good anyways? Like, he knows it's human meat. Like, but why is it so tasty? So I mean, I guess you just had to try. And
if you can't beat him, join him.
Yeah. And the framing of the shot again, by the way. He's like you said, he's battling his insides, right? He's battling his own feelings about this while he's putting it in his mouth. And who should be right over his shoulder watching, almost as if it's like the devil on your shoulder, like poking and prodding. Yes, do it. So again, I thought that was a good shot.
It was really well shot, yeah.
So enter Officer Phil again, and he sits at the counter and he orders himself another steak, and he even says, "My wife's wondering why I'm not eating at home anymore." So he's there all the time now eating steak. He goes on to tell them that, we have a lead on this Mr. Chumley murder. It turns out there's a very rare alloy we found in the blood of Mr. Chumley, and it comes from a rare knife that's not made anymore. So any day now, we're going to close in on this killer. And that's where Fred gets really nervous. Because if you remember back in the very beginning of the episode, when she was acting like she was going to stab him, he said, if you do that, you're going to bend that knife. And they don't make that anymore. So he knows he has a very rare knife that they don't make anymore. So at this point, right, he starts to have alarm bells going off inside of his head. He doesn't want to get blamed for all of this going on. He's not doing it at this point. He's not committing the murders, but he's definitely he's aware of it, and he's allowing it to happen, and he's serving up the meat. So yeah, he can get in a lot of trouble for this, and he's definitely starting to feel it. Before I move on to this next scene, any thoughts about this particular reveal, Iron?
Yeah, his demeanor completely changes once Phil mentions that. You just see like the entire soul just leaves his body. He's like, "Oh God, we're going to be caught now." And the next scene you're going to get to, like you really start seeing like he's basically losing it. Like he's going a little. He's really worried that they're going to get caught now.
Yeah, Godden, what do you think about this reveal?
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame him for reacting that way because he was the only like morally true character, because I mean Irma decided to try it the first day anyway, so like she's already in on it off the gate. So I mean it's sad to see he's kind of in this predicament because like he never wanted to be in this position in the first place, but he was kind of put in this against his will. Like he was never like it just sucks. You're a restaurant owner and now everything's against you because your janitor wanted to help out in his own way. So it's unfortunate.
His special recipe. Family recipe. A
special family recipe. Do you think is a recipe to the meat? Do you think it's an actual marinade of some sort of concoction? Or it's just the fact that it's human meat is the recipe?
Oh, it's gotta be some sort of marinade or something, right? Because like otherwise it's just like you said, it's just meat. Like I can't imagine it would be that good.
I've never
Salt
had
and
human
pepper.
meat.
I
Maybe
don't
it
know.
is.
I've never tried human, so I mean, maybe it's the most delicious thing in the world.
Yeah, us humans, we have a very unusual diet. I'm sure we season our own meat and fat with a variety, like a Doritos Cool Ranch infused hunk of meat. Oh man,
The Kenny diet.
Gummy bears and Skittles and beer infused
That's
meat.
crazy.
Oh, I'm sure that's delicious. So that night, they're closed up and Irma's counting the money, and they made almost $8,000 in that one day. So that first night, when they put the steaks on the menu, they saw $1,500. Now they're up to $8,000. I don't know how long it's been. I don't know how many victims were involved in this. I wish that we did see that side of it, by the way. I do wish that we had seen maybe maybe just one scene of Gaston actually lurking and prowling and actually killing somebody to take the meat. I would have liked to have that sort of stalkerish vibe somewhere in this episode. We never get to see that, so we just kind of left to our own speculations. But yeah, we assume there's been multiple victims. We don't know what day this is, how long they've been doing this. Maybe it's been a week, maybe it's been a month. I don't know. The point is, Fred's upset. He's worried that they're closing in on him, and then they're not going to be able to get away with this for much longer. So Fred leaves. He goes to the back room, and Irma follows him. And alone in the front, that's where Gaston gets into Irma's bag and actually takes out her gun. And then we go to the back, and Fred is just obsessed over this cleaver, looking at this cleaver and thinking to himself, they're going to find out who I am because I have this cleaver. And he tells Gaston, they're onto us. We need to stop. And that's where Gaston says, well, maybe it's time we put Phil on the menu. We can't put Phil on the menu. He's a cop. So, yeah, Gaston is really...
He's a cop, for Christ's sake.
He's a cop, for Christ's sake. That's how he said it, too. So, yeah, Gaston is perfectly okay with just constantly pushing forward and making things worse. And that's beyond what Fred is willing to do. Fred's willing to go so far, but once the heat starts to rise up, he doesn't have the cojones, right? He doesn't have the balls to be able to keep going with this. So Gaston offers to clean up and have him go home. And Fred says, no, I'll stay here. I'll clean up. You go. I need time to think. What do you guys think about this scene in the back room, by the way? Again, Iron, we'll start with you.
Yeah, you missed the funny part. The funniest part for me is when Irma comes back to him and she goes up to Fred. She goes, "What's eating you?" And he goes, "Don't say that. Don't ever say that." It's just a great scene because like what's happening, and it's just great. And then when he's going, let's put a Phil on the menu, and just like the way Christopher Reeve, oh God, Fred's character, he goes, he's a cop, for Christ's sake. So the way he says it, and you just know things like just have shit just hit the fan at this point. Like he's just looking for a way out, and Gaston, he's up to no good like always. But yeah, it's a fun scene.
Yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned that whole what's eating you. It's actually in my notes. I missed it. I read over it, so I missed it. But yeah, that was a good line. What's eating you? Godden, what do you think about this scene back here?
It was interesting. Like they made 8,000. It's like the IRS is definitely gonna have some questions as to how the hell did they just accumulate this much cash. But if anything, I think the right thing to do is just like call it quit here. Maybe buy a stock of different meat. Maybe it's not murder anymore. Let's just make that the one time, and just deal with the family recipe having a little change, and maybe they get away with it realistically, right? Maybe they can. But it's just interesting that he wants to put. Actually, it's actually funny to think about it now. Because he wants to put Phil onto the menu because cops are generally called pigs, right? So he's just like a pork chop on the menu there.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, it's weird that he would just say a cop. Like that is wild. He could just said someone else, or I don't know. I guess it's a small town. Maybe there's really no other good victim. Maybe the cop would have been just the best choice at the time. But yeah. He's just going crazy with the plan. He needs to be stopped. Like it is getting way too unhinged at this point. He can't just grab a random person, or if there's a homeless person, maybe the meat's bad. I don't know. Like I think there's a lot to consider for like their menu if they keep going with this business. So
Yeah, I suppose a more reasonable approach would have been like, yeah, you're right. They're on to us. Let's lay low for a while, and then we'll get back into it in a month or so.
Yeah.
But he didn't go. He just said, well, we'll just kill the cop. He just went for
It's
it.
like, what?
Well, it's like you brought up before, Kenny. Like they've definitely killed someone else because I mean they're serving all this meat again, right? And Chumley was picked clean, so clearly they've killed someone else, and we don't know who it is. Maybe it was a cop. We don't know. So.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the thing is either does Fred. I think Fred's just, as long as that freezer is full, I'm not going to ask any questions. It would have been nice, even if we had gotten a scene in the freezer with like multiple bodies hung up. Like that maybe that would have been enough. Maybe we didn't need a whole stalking scene, although it would have been nice, but maybe a scene, one more scene in the freezer to see more bodies in there, I think would have been nice. So this next scene's back at the apartment, and again, Fred is staying at the restaurant. He's cleaning up. Irma goes inside, and she's followed by Gaston. Gaston knocks on the door, basically invites himself in, and says, "Look, I'm really worried about Fred." And this is where he completely flips the script on Irma. He's like his level of manipulation just keeps going up. He goes, "I'm really worried about Fred. Fred's been killing people. I saw him kill Mr. Chumley, but I didn't say anything, and he's just been killing people. That's why he's been staying so late. And I'm really worried about him. He actually took your gun out of your purse, and he says he's gonna, use it on himself back at the restaurant." So I feel like, again, this would have had much more of an impact on me had he not been such a manipulative person leading up to this point. Because now it's totally on character with exactly how he's always been. But the fact that even the first time she was alone with him in this episode, he was coming on to her and basically putting down Fred. So I guess there was no like ratcheting it up to this point. He was always at this level. He was always this kind of a smarmy prick. I don't know. What'd you think about the scene, Iron?
Yeah, you definitely get the sense early that he's just not a great person, right? And then when he goes in there, he just, like you said, he pretty much just invites himself in. Like he actually like scares the crap out of her at first, right? He just appears out of nowhere, and like when you're going home after like work and you don't expect that, it's just like just not something you would normally do. And then, yeah, you mentioned he's like, oh, he took your gun, and oh, he's killed all these people, and now he's going to kill himself. He told me. And that actually plays into like the final scene. And I really like that touch at the end there, and how they actually eventually catch on to him. It is
clever. Yeah, it is clever. Godden, what do you think about this scene here?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I think he's just grasping for straws, right? Like his plan's not working. Like he wants to get rid of the person that's actually in his way. Because, I mean, if he gets rid of Fred, right, in his plan, then he wins the wife. Then he can kill the cop. He can continue the business, probably make enough money, however long he can do that for. But it's interesting that he would say all these things about Fred. That's his wife. Clearly they're very close. Well, maybe Gaston doesn't know how close they are, but to make up that kind of lie, like you're taking such a high risk of hoping that makes sense to the partner, right? Because like they know each other very well in and out. Maybe he's not suicidal. Even if he were to commit something immoral, maybe he won't be thrown into that kind of depression. Like only she would kind of have an inkling. So it's wild that he would kind of grasp for straws at that point. Like good luck with that lie. Let's just hope that's the truth.
Yeah. So. It was an ambitious lie, and it turns out she doesn't fall for it, right? Yeah, it turns out he didn't know that.
Actually,
he didn't know that much about them. So, like, yeah, it was a bit ambitious, and he did kind of. I suppose he sealed his fate with that lie, didn't he?
Yeah, he kind of did. Yeah.
As we're about to find out.
Yeah, as we're about to find out. No spoilers here. Shh. So, as we make our way to the finale of this episode, that brings us to the restaurant. And what's his name? Gaston sneaks in. He's kind of looking around the restaurant. He's trying to set up Fred, and that's where Fred basically attacks him with a frying pan. They go back and forth. They're kind of arguing back and forth, and Irma walks in at that point. And Gaston says, "Oh, this is perfect. It's going to be a murder-suicide, right? I'm going to shoot your wife, and I'm going to shoot you, and basically get away with everything." That's where he pulls the trigger on Irma and realizes that it's not loaded. So that's where they flip the script on him and basically tell him, look, I knew that you're lying because I never keep my gun loaded. And even he confirms, yeah, she never keeps her gun loaded, so she would never use it. So at this point, they have Gaston cornered and they're up against him. But that's where I think this is where the big twist is. The officer Phil walks in and basically Gaston says, oh, you need to help me. They're trying to kill me. And he goes, well, what to do? I could do something, but I've developed a particular
taste.
I develop a particular taste. Yeah. So basically what's going on is Officer Phil wants in on this whole deal. So, he also wants retirement. So as long as he can get his name on the front marquee and make a little bit of profit in this as well, he's willing to turn a blind eye to continue getting his favorite steaks. So, and by the way, the ending, I love the ending, how they don't kill Gaston before they put him on the grill. They just put him right on the grill. So I like that. I like that little end flourish. Iron, what do you think of this finale and this twist?
Yeah, it's great. I actually really love this twist because early on, Phil actually mentions, I love to retire and find something to do with myself, right? And then at the end, he comes in and he goes, well, this actually fits in well with my retirement plan. So what do you say? You want to be partners, right? How does Farley's Flame Broiled sound to you? And Fred goes, well, it sounds good to me. How about you, Irma? I think it sounds absolutely mouth-watering.
That's what it was, mouth-watering, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's a great twist. Like, you don't see it coming, and I love those twists the best, right, is when they just catch you out of nowhere. And you like you said, you're right, it was pretty obvious early on what was going on and where the meat was coming from, but this ending kind of maybe catches you off guard because, you don't expect a cop to all of a sudden, just be in on this, but I loved it. I thought it was great.
Yeah, Godden, what'd you think?
I thought it was interesting how the twist happened. It opened up a lot of questions for me. The one that really strikes is like, why is it just never loaded? Why is the firearm just never loaded? Like, it's not really safe. And then when she said like, oh, because Fred doesn't like it when I have it loaded or anything, it's like, okay, well, that's a little odd. Like, maybe that's his gun and she's only able to have it on her as like some sort of deterrent, but she's not actually allowed to shoot it or anything like that. Yeah, the one thing I remember from when we first watched this episode is that in the beginning of these scenes, Officer Phil was not decorated at all. But as the scenes, come through, he slowly gets badges, he slowly gets like these patches, and at the very scene, he's like fully decorated as like a chief officer or something like that. So I was wondering maybe at one point
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, that was a striking detail for me. Because when he sat down initially for like, oh, can I just have coffee? He had nothing. It's just a bland uniform, like not even a clip or anything. Like, it was just empty. So for him to come back at that last scene and he's fully decorated and he's planning his retirement, like, I wonder like how he's getting that. Like, are Fred and Irma, did they just tell him what happened, or maybe did Fred tell him what happened already, and that it was Gaston this whole entire time, and he was just like feeling like, oh, we're almost gonna get the killer, but maybe Phil had already known this prior, because he walked her very nonchalant, like, oh, what to do. Like, he wasn't like, oh, Gaston, it was you? Well, it doesn't matter. I had the appetite for this. But it's like he kind of had that inkling he already knew. And I do like how at the end when they made the decision that they just fresh meat right then and there, just put him onto the stove, because that threw me back to when I first saw Punisher, when he was fighting that Russian dude. And he had like the hot oil just on his face. Like, that was like the same feeling for me. Like, oh, that I would hate to be in that position. Like, that just sucks, right then and there. But I think the way they ended that episode was my favorite, where Gaston's light on the sign just flashes out. I love that part, and it just becomes red.
That's a great one.
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up. I did forget about that. Yeah, as the camera pulls out, you see Gaston, Fred, and Irma's, and then Gaston's light kind of flickers out, and it just becomes Fred and Irma's. And one more thing, I'm glad that you brought up how decorated the officer was. I never noticed that. I wonder if this has been over the course of multiple years. Maybe, over the, it takes a while to get, those types of recognitions. I wonder if this has been going on for that long.
Yeah, maybe he just didn't like his job, and then the stakes, got that spring in his step, and he started really getting
better.
Yeah, I buy it.
Yeah, why not?
All right. Well, that brings us back to the Crypt Keeper outro, who is
Oh, he had like the guy on a table, and I think he had him set up like one of those like wine things with like the casks, and it was in his head, and it was like he was like
is he drinking his blood?
The wine.
I think maybe.
Is that what he's doing? Yeah, he says. He says, I suppose it's a little too late for Gaston to save face. Talk about a flesh in the pan. I like that. Get it? Because he's put his flesh on the pan. I guess that's what happens when you put your money where your mouth is. As for me, kiddies, I say it's time for my taps. Till next time, restaurateur in peace. Instead of restaurant, it's restaurant instead of torture. I think you put in the torture. Restaurateur in
like
peace. That's what he said. Maybe it's restaurateur in peace. I'm reading my notes. I didn't just watch this like 2 seconds ago. Yeah, these are good intros and outros by the Crypt Keeper as well. They're very on point with the episode, right? In the very beginning and the ending were both very eating people themed and restaurant themed. So yeah, I think they did a great job with the Crypt Keeper intro and outro here.
Have you noticed that as the series progresses and like they go through the seasons, his intro and outros actually get a lot better? Because when they first started out, he was actually very like mellow and didn't really make a lot of jokes. He was more scary, right? And he wanted you to be scared of him. And then as it went on, he got more of those puns and everything like that.
Yeah.
And I think they realized the direction they wanted to go with him.
We definitely picked up on that. And if you go back and watch some of our podcasts from season 1, we definitely touched on the fact that he's much more breathy and much more somber in the original, especially the first few episodes. And it's not till later when the true wrath of the Crypt Keeper comes out with his puns and just over the top shenanigans. I love how he's always up to something too.
Just wait till 5 and 6, and especially 6. He just goes like they just go balls to the wall with his craziness.
Oh boy, I'm looking forward to that. So as far as just final thoughts and kind of cleaning up our thoughts on this episode, I think of cannibalism, of course, right? And I think of movies and TV shows that kind of have cannibalism in them. Of course, there's Texas Chainsaw Massacre, right? That's kind of famous for being, like especially hanging up people like in a freezer and then chopping them up to eat. Like it makes me think of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Silence of the Lambs, of course, was also loosely based on Ed Gein, who, of course, was loosely based on for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So it's all kind of intertwined. I don't know. Can you guys think of any others where it depicted cannibals in the show or the movie or whatnot?
Yeah, well, maybe not horror, but Soylent Green is people, right? That's a big one.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on that too. I do feel like there's a couple different angles on this. There's cannibalism in terms of I'm going to kill you and eat you, right? Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Silence of the Lambs, stuff like that. Even Hannibal, right? But then there's the idea where, okay, I'm going to feed you humans and not tell you. And that's more the Soylent Green aspect of it, right? So I guess either one, right? Either active cannibalism or I guess unknowingly, passively being a cannibal. Like, I guess, can you guys think of any others?
I mean, like, if you want to go for, like, Tales from the Crypt, you could say, like, I know you didn't like the episode, but, like, Morning Mess kind of had that kind of thing.
Oh, right! I didn't even think of that. Yeah, Morning Mess, yeah.
Morning Mess, yeah, for sure. Have any of you guys seen The Green Inferno? That's a big one with cannibalistic themes, where these two... Actually, I forget how many there were, but there was these adventurous hikers, and they end up coming across a tribe, and they were just like, trying to be all human and chill about it, but then they end up like, oh, these guys are cannibals, and it's the whole escape and whatnot, just trying to get out of that. Because I mean, it's a horrific movie.
That sounds interesting.
Directed it, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's called The Green Inferno. It's pretty fun. But there was one that sticks out. I remember seeing a clip online, but I think it's from CSI or some show like that, where I guess the killer was serving food like on the corner of the street, like soup or some stew. And then once they had realized he's the killer, they also had realized how he was getting rid of the bodies, because they could not figure out how he's getting rid of the bodies, and they're like, holy, he was feeding people on the street, the dead people, and one of the officers, I think, had the soup, so obviously they were super upset, and they're just going through their own depression because that was insane to you just got served like human meat and you didn't know. And I don't know, it's just tough to deal with. So those are the two ones that come to mind, but I'm sure there's a handful more. There
really is like an added bit of horror to being fed human, like, and not knowing it. Did you watch Dahmer?
I know Dahmer, but no, I didn't watch it.
Is that like the monster series that was on Netflix or something?
So about Jeffrey Dahmer. He would kill and eat his victims, but there's one scene that stuck with me, and this gave me nightmares. This was a horrendous, awful scene. He basically doesn't get along with his neighbor, or I should say his neighbor doesn't get along with him. I don't think Dahmer got along with anybody. So this woman is basically onto him, and she calls the cops on him. She tries to do something about him. So he actually makes her a sandwich and brings it to her and offers her the sandwich. And he basically says, "Eat it, take a bite." And she goes, "I don't want to bite. I'm not hungry." And he goes, "Eat it. I brought you the sandwich. Eat it." And she says, "I'll have it later." And he goes, "No, it's a recipe from my family, and I made it for you. I want you to eat it." And the way, like, how persistent he was about her eating it right there, and it was made of human meat. Basically, he wanted her to eat it in front of him. It really haunted me, that whole scene of just having somebody. And she didn't know it was true, but she knew it was true. Like, she knew it was human meat, but she didn't know, right? Like, it was one of those types of things where she wasn't sure, but she was sure. So I can imagine what must have been going through her head in that moment, and just how terrifying knowing that the person you're sitting across murdered somebody, put their meat on the sandwich, and then was trying to feed it to you. Like, I could just imagine. It was very, very haunting. So the idea of being fed human without your knowledge of it is haunting in and of itself. So I just wanted to mention that before we move too far on. Oh, you know what else? I also get vibes of Bob's Burgers in this. Not that even watched Bob's Burgers. Not that Bob's Burgers was serving meat, or not that he was serving human meat, but he was a struggling restaurateur with his wife, and he had Mr. Fishoder. Was that his name? Mr. Fishoder? The guy that, his slumlord, basically, who was always trying to get money from him. So that whole dynamic, it kind of made me think of that.
Yeah. So something else came to mind. There's a story in Tales from the Crypt, the comic books, and it's called Taint the Meat, It's the Humanity. And I remember being really disturbed by this one, because essentially what it is there's this guy who runs a butcher shop, and a guy comes in and says, he's struggling because meat's getting really expensive. Welcome to 2026. But he says, a guy comes in and says, "Hey, well, why don't you serve spoiled meat? Because then it's cheaper, and then you're serving spoiled meat to people." And he's kind of against it at first, right? But then comes around on it when he realizes how much money he can make. So he starts selling spoiled meat to the people. And the twist at the end is his son gets really sick off eating the meat. And it's kind of, it's an interesting tale.
Yeah.
But it kind of reminded me of that too.
Yeah, I wonder. It does. You go into the restaurant business, or you go into a restaurant, there's ethics, right? There's law, and there's definitely food safety, everything. But really, it just falls on, how seedy, how smarmy, how sleazy is the guy serving the food, right? You don't know.
Funny enough that you mentioned Bob's Burgers, Kenny, because there's actually a theory where they are serving human meat, and that was backed up by a lot of evidence, and that the creators also said that was one of the original pitch ideas, but then Fox said, "Do not do that," and that's why they don't have it.
Oh.
But also, Sweeney Todd. Just throw one out there again.
Oh, I never watched Sweeney Todd. Is that about cannibals?
I think it. No, it's like the people serving people thing.
Oh, okay. Okay. Interesting. All right. Well, hey, okay. So let's dive into scores, you guys. I'm very comfortable. I got Iron. I have an idea of where you're going to go, but I'm very comfortable leading off with this. This is a 5. This is a great, fantastic story. This is a lot of fun. I know I had my quibbles about, oh, he said this when he should have said that or whatnot. Those are all just tiny little quibbles. The bottom line, this is an incredibly entertaining episode. It's very fun. It touches on the whole relationship dynamic and the trust that you need to have in your spouse in business, but also when the crap hits the fan and somebody tries to go out there and murder your husband, you've got to be able to know, oh, he wasn't telling the truth. I liked it all. I really did like the episode. It was a lot of fun. I'm going to give this 5 squid on a sticks.
Oh, wow.
Iron, what about you?
Okay, so I'm going to bring up the fact that back in my day, when VHS ruled the world, I used to go to the rental store, and every chance I would get, they used to have Tales from the Crypt VHS, and every chance I would get, I would rent them. And one of them had this episode on it. And I remember watching it and how much fun I had with it, and it stuck with me forever. And watching this through again with my wife, I've noticed something about the episodes I really like versus the episodes I don't like. The episodes I really like, they just fly by. Like the 20 to 30 minutes just flies by and you don't even notice it. Like it feels like you just were sitting there for 10 minutes. Whereas the episode you don't like feel like kind of a slog to get through. And this one just flies by. Like I love it. I love the acting. You know, they did great. Like Christopher Reeve's a great actor. Meatloaf was such a great casting choice. Judd Nelson, you know, Bess Armstrong even is great. She plays Irma. And just it's got that macabre Tales from the Crypt, but it's also got that humor with it too, right? And again, like as you've probably seen in the comments, I love twist endings, the dark ones especially. They're just my bread and butter about this show. It's what I love most, and this one delivers. So yeah, it's a 5 out of 5 for me, and I'm going to give it 5 out of 5 stars from Dick Schwartzberg in the Daily Bugle.
Oh yeah.
Oh, very
nice.
Gave
it a good review.
Godden, how about you?
Yeah, this is so hard to even like nitpick. Like what Iron said, those good episodes, they fly by quick because I think they have good pacing, and it made me realize like, yeah, all the bad episodes, they drag it on too much or it's just unfulfilled. But this one was nice pieces, you know, just molded together to have a fun episode. Honestly, like all the characters were great. They made sense, you know, even when they don't need like a backstory about the squids or backstory like, is it a family recipe? Like the story was just consistent and everyone performed well. Yeah, the dialogue was fun too. I wanted more. If anything, I just wanted more Meatloaf dialogue. That's about it. Like that's not even an issue. That's just more of like a preference. And yeah, I'd say this is an easy 5, 100%. So, you know, I had a couple of items I was going to use for when I did the rating in case you guys took them, but you guys didn't take any of the ones I was worried about. But I'm just going to continue with the one I had. I'm going to give it 5 gas stove burners because that's a typical standard burner.
All right, so there you have it. 5, 5, and a 5 for an average of 5. Yeah, wow, great episode. Great episode for you to be part of, Iron. I'm really glad that you chose this one.
Thank you.
So, well, that brings us to correspondence, and let me go through the correspondence. So, on this particular episode, we're going to go through all of the, or some of the correspondence that we got for the episode "This'll Kill Ya." So, Vlad the Rabbit writes in. "This'll Kill Ya," by the way, was the one. Oh God, what was the one? "This'll Kill Ya."
That was the one where his insulin and the H cell and they give him the insulin.
Oh,
but it was,
okay.
Dylan McDermott.
They made him think it was the H cell.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So "This'll Kill Ya." Vlad the Rabbit says, "I wish the episode was better than it was. Has an okay start and hook with the starting at the end of the story. Then it just kind of drags and the twist isn't fun. Was expecting more with how good the casting was. I give it 2 Wilford Brimleys out of 5." And again, those of you who are more closer to our age might remember Wilford Brimley from all those diabetes commercials. So I'm Wilford Brimley and I have diabetes.
That's actually really good. I like that.
That's a good one, yeah. Joseph Hill also comments regarding "This'll Kill Ya." He says, Dylan McDermott is the kind of actor that could have potentially been great in Tales from the Crypt, but they didn't give him much to work with here. The foreshadowing was a little too on the nose, So it was kind of obvious that the insulin was going to play a role in the twist. I give it 2.5 imaginary tumors out of 5. And believe it or not, I copy pasted some correspondence on this Lakia from Iron Sabbath. So Iron Sabbath, I'm going to have a lot of fun reading you your own comment. Ahead. Let's go. Iron Sabbath says, listen, I love Tales from the Crypt, but this episode is lame. I hate the acting from Sophie. It's so infuriating how bad it is at some points. And I agree, the ending is a dud that falls flat. The whole episode just felt so pointless. I love season 4, just not this episode. The beginning was great, but the rest of the episode is just annoying. 1.5 out of 5 insulin shots. Iron, great review, great comment. Do you care to elaborate on that?
Do I have to? All right, so this is one that actually, when I was watching the show when I was younger, I actually didn't mind too much, and with age, it's actually taken a reversal. Like I said, I do not like Sophie's acting. I find it very, just really bad at some points. And then that scene that you mentioned where like he basically just takes advantage of her, and it's just weird. I don't know. It didn't jive with me. And season 4 is great, but man, the first three episodes, I love the Tom Hanks one, but yeah, the follow-up to those just again, I used to like them when I was younger, but as I've gotten older, they're just falling down a cliff. So
yeah.
But what I will say is, I mentioned it too. Cleavon Little, who played Pac in the episode, that was his last performance, unfortunately. He would pass away from stomach cancer soon after that. So.
That's very, very sad. I did hear about that after we recorded our podcast. I go back and I listen to other podcasts, and then I hear all those little tidbits of information. I guess it might make sense to listen to other podcasts first before I do mine, so I have more information to share and to respond to. But I'm worried about then taking their narrative. You know what I mean? Like sometimes I'll have a weird, unique, off the wall idea about something, but if I listen to somebody else's podcast, it'll either change my direction of thinking or kind of lead me down a path that's not necessarily mine. So I try to avoid watching or listening to other podcasts until we record this one. So now that I recorded this episode, I'm gonna go listen to here we are to shoutouts. I'm gonna go listen to Creeps of the Crypt and the Cryptique podcast. No, that's us. I'm gonna go listen to Creeps of the Crypt and wait, who's the other one? Who's the other one to listen to? Creeps of the Crypt and the Crypt Keepers podcast. Thank you. I'm gonna go. I had to scroll through my notes to find out those names. When I'm on the spot, sometimes I panic and I freak out. Okay, so yeah, I'll go listen to the boys over there. So yeah, that's that. Any final thoughts before we wrap things up here?
Well, it's a shame that we rate these episodes out of 5 because, I would love to rate it 2 out of 3 because 2 out of 3 ain't bad, but
I don't get it.
Meatloaf songs, by the way. They were all Meatloaf songs.
I got that part. I definitely got that part. I don't listen to. I don't. What is Meatloaf's band just called Meatloaf?
Yeah, he just went by Meatloaf, and actually, he didn't really write any of his songs. It was all a guy named Jim Steinman, but yeah, he was very popular. He was a very good singer. He had some pipes on him.
Okay. Yeah. I don't.
And fun fact: if you want to see Meatloaf in another anthology show, he's in a show called Monsters in season 1, in an episode called "Where's the Rest of Me?" And he hams it up just as much as he does in this one. So, yeah.
Huh. Interesting. Okay. All right. Well, Godden, any last things from you before we wrap things up here?
Watch this episode. It's so fun.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yes. Watch it.
It's a good one. Okay. Now, you all got to do me a favor. If you are watching at this point in the episode right here, I want you to comment down below. What's the most exotic thing that you've eaten?
Yeah, I'm pretty boring when it comes to that, though. My wife's even worse, actually. We're not really exotic eaters, but yeah, I mean, I like the mantra, I'll try anything once, but I don't think I've actually ever done it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I'm not a big fan of organs. Yeah. I'll try almost anything once, but I don't want to eat organs, so I won't do heart or liver or stuff like that. So I live in the North Bay, and I actually live very close to where Guy Fieri comes from. And Guy Fieri had a restaurant here called Johnny Garlic's. And one of the items on the menu, he had a rotating rare exotic item it was either of the week or of the month. I can't remember exactly what it was. But I went there once, and the exotic meat on the menu for that particular time was alligator. So I had an alligator stew. So alligator is I would think the most exotic thing that I've eaten.
Yeah, I don't really eat anything exotic, but I have watched the show. You ever watch Bizarre Foods with Andrew Zimmern? Oh my God, some of this stuff that he eats, I was like, whoa, this guy's got an iron stomach.
Oh yeah. Regardless of how things taste or like the mouthfeel, the idea of eating something sometimes can really turn you off. That's why I can't do organs. Even if liver or heart or brain or eyeballs, whatever, even if that kind of stuff tasted fine, just the idea of what you're eating turns me off. So, Godden, how about you? Anything exotic?
I mean, it wouldn't be exotic for me because, I've had a lot of Filipino dishes. So, I guess they would just sound exotic if you never had them. But one of the ones I've had was a pork blood stew, which is called dinuguan. So you pretty much cook the blood on top of the stew, so it becomes black and black and icky looking, but it tastes pretty good and spicy. I've had octopus, not like calamari or anything, but like actual octopus. That was good. I've had jackfruit. I don't like jackfruit. I'd say that's an exotic fruit I would never ever have ever again. I hate it. I hate it so much. It's not good. Well, to me. But I'm willing to try like alligator like you did. I'm willing to try that snake juice. You just have that snake like in that like bottle of alcohol and you drink it. I would try that. I would try shark. I wouldn't mind.
I would try shark.
Taste that great. I would try shark.
I have to know. Have you ever tried durian?
Yeah, that's the same thing as the jackfruit. Yeah, they're like cousins basically.
Oh yeah, they like stink and they're not allowed on planes because of how bad it stinks.
Yeah.
What about that? What about balut? Because I know you said you're Filipino.
I love those.
Yeah.
Wait, no, Godden, explain. Tell the listeners what balut is.
So it's fermented chicken or duck egg, and usually they're incubated to a certain week, to their full incubation. And in the Philippines, you can choose a number. I always get number 18s, which is like midway through. So I have like kind of the chicken or duck, and then kind of the hard-boiled egg. So it's a little mix, but pretty much would crack it open. There's a little stew in there that you can put salt or just have added or vinegar, and then you can drink it, and everything's edible realistically. The bones are soft, like sardines, right? You can have sardines, you don't feel the bones because they're that soft and tiny. It's like one of those kind of things. I know some people are horrified because when they have it here in the States or somewhere else, they don't have that kind of section where you choose which number you want. So then you end up with like maybe like a number 30 or a number whatever, where it is like kind of a full grown chicken in there. And I understand why that puts people off, but even I wouldn't do that. I like the number 18s or earlier, because then the earlier it's just hard boiled egg at the end of the day. So.
I have some Filipino friends. I have some Filipino friends, and I've been to their house, and a dear friend of mine, Filipino, his father ate balut. This is my first experience with it. He cracked the egg, he opened it up. I swear to God, fellas, feathers were on this bird.
Yeah.
Okay, it was practically a full, getting ready to hatch egg. He cracked it open, and my stomach turned, and I thought this is an accident. And then he started eating it, and I was like, "What the hell is going on?" Like, it's just, but it's so normal. Like in other cultures, that's just something you eat, right? Never mind how you get it or what.
Yeah.
But so as an American, seeing this though I was just so repulsed at this cultural thing that I was witnessing. I wish I had been primed. I wish they had told me about it first, so I could have been expecting it. But the fact that I wasn't and just saw it, it just turned me off so bad. But iron. I'm glad you brought up balut because I was going to ask too.
Yeah, it can be a little off-putting, I guess, if you're not used to it, right? But have you guys ever heard of surstrumming?
No,
it's like fermented fish. Yeah, and when you open it, it like sprays out. And the smell apparently is just rancid. It's
so fermented. It's crazy.
Yeah, and then there's hakaro, which is like rotted shark. Like they have to put it in the ground, and oh my God, like the Norse people have iron stomachs.
That's their diet, That's what they had to go by.
Have you tried any of these iron?
Oh God, no.
Oh God, no.
I don't think I'd have the stomach for that.
Oh my goodness.
As I get older, I can't even eat most of the things I used to eat.
Oh
so.
my gosh. No, if the spaghetti sauce is too spicy, oh my gosh.
Right, exactly. Yeah, my spice level is like nothing now.
Oh my gosh. Woo, woo. Was that extra mayo on that sandwich? Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And with that, going forward, if you want to keep up to date with what we're watching, then you want to watch season 4, episode 7, The New Arrival. So until then, kiddies, we here at the Cryptique Podcast wish you all sweet nightmares.
Well, how was that for a scream, Poison Ghoul?